Good morning. Welcome to the LeNora Faye Show, morning edition. I'm your host, LeNora Faye. Welcome to this. What day are we on? Day 4 of this 2-week experiment. I've finally watching the last season of 6 Feet Under, the show on HBO, and it has actually been, I think, 20 years. No, that can't be right. Well, the show's it was 20 years ago the show was on. No, it has been 20 years. And I was talking with a friend about this because I'd watched the first 4 seasons, and that was basically 20 years ago because I was in my early 20s. And so the other day I'm like, okay, I'm finally gonna watch season 5. I just felt this urge, and maybe because it's October, I don't know, but I just wanted to watch the final season. I vaguely know what happens because I remember there was an article coming out about the finale of that show, and I just wasn't. I was becoming a nomad at that point, so I wasn't in one particular location and did not end up watching the series or finish the series. So 20 years later, I'm like, you know what? I am making it a mission to watch the final season of 6 Feet Under. 20 years later. And so talking to with a friend the other day, I'm thinking, how did I watch it in the first place? Because I've never had it. I never had HBO, and this was early 2000s, and Wi-Fi really wasn't a thing quite yet. And then I remembered, oh right, I used to rent the DVDs at Blockbuster or whatever video store was in the town, city I was living in. And then I was like, right, Blockbuster. I forgot that's how I watched TV shows. Or there was illegal downloads back in the day. But I would rent the DVDs. So it was a season, I was always seasons behind. So by the time that came out, I was still probably on season 4. So anyway, I've started watching the final season of 6 Feet Under. I feel like I can check that off my bucket list of things to do. I still love that show. Again, it's a I mean, this is the thing. It's a universal story. I mean, it's a very specific story about a family that runs a funeral home, but I mean, the themes of it. And here, I don't want to complain about this because in this season, everyone's trying to have a baby. And sorry, if you guys know what I like, well, I'm a child free by choice person. Many of you watching that will know that already, but I'm also reaching a new audience now, so um those of you that know will understand why I find that annoying, that arc. And I may or may not have voiced that to my friend I was talking with. But anyway, that's not what I want to talk about. It's um the the joys of going to the video store and going, what am I gonna watch? What am I gonna rent? And now we've got like a bazillion streaming services. And there's still the annoyance because now it's like, well, I don't want all of these streaming services because that's a lot of money, and now we've got nothing to watch, even though we have access to everything. So actually earlier this past summer, along with a friend, we rewatched Sex and the City, the original sh version of the show, and then the spin-off and Just Like That, which I do not like. I do not like. There's something comforting about revisiting shows that you liked back in the day. Now, back in the day means different things for different people. And as I said many times, I grew up in a house that did not have television. So my television journey began around the age of 19, and that was 2002. So, yeah, I've watched a lot of TV since then. And so I don't have anything comforting from like childhood or anything, but 20s, yes, kind of. 6 Feet Under was definitely a show that I really liked. And so it's fun to it doesn't bring back any memories for me or anything. Maybe of my second apartment, which I never knew how to keep clean. Um but yeah, I'm really enjoying. I don't know. There's something. I think I'm going through a phase where I just need to finish things, and I think because a lot of things have come to a close, project wise, even people wise. There's been a lot of energetic closure for a lot of experiences that I've had in my life, and I don't know if any of you guys follow numerology. It's something that I have studied for probably 20 years, but I don't follow it. I use it as a tool. I don't follow it to the to the number. I was gonna say the letter, but numerology, I follow it to the number. I don't. I use it when I feel I need some extra guidance, but it's not set in stone for me. There's a lot of different things that I use to um help me, like as far as, esoteric stuff, but nothing that I practice every single day. Nothing that I go, I will only do it because this says something or this is my horoscope or whatever. Like, it's none of that. I like to layer things or use nothing at all. So anyway, but all right, well, I'm like, why did I bring this up? I am in a year 9 for my personal cycle. And that naturally things come to a close and then you start over. And that has always been a guidepost for me. Again, I don't look at it on a daily or monthly basis anymore, but I do stay aware of where I am in the grand scheme of my life. So this particular year, which is rapidly coming to a close, has been a lot of closure on, again, things that I've experienced, people that I've had experiences with, projects. I've had to just let go a lot emotionally and energetically on so many things. And for some reason, that's probably why I'm like, I need to finish this series and then I can be done with it. Not because it's been haunting me. It's just, well, So that's what I'm currently, well, that's not the only thing I'm doing, but yeah, that's what's up. I'm finishing 6 Feet Under. And and then you know what? I had this. I'm not into horror movies necessarily. I don't like jump scares. I don't, it's not really my thing. But there are times where I just have a fascination and I want to see what it's all about. So along that line, I started watching The Nun 2, the second one, because I have seen the Conjuring series. I think I've seen all of them. And that was because I had nephews who were really into those movies. So when my nephews would come visit me, they would want to watch it, so we'd watch them. And because of that, I actually enjoyed it. Plus, when the nephews are making silly jokes and it's helping me laugh, so it eases a bit of my tension. But I was by myself and decided to watch The Nun too. And yeah, that was a bit of a challenge. I had to stop a couple times. Not because it's super, super scary, but I was just I'm also in this space of really protecting my energy. So I'm not inviting a lot of uh evil ideas or I don't necessarily believe in evil energy. I don't believe that I'm gonna invite something in if I watch a scary movie. But I'm mindful of keeping my brain, my thoughts focused on the kind of energy I want to put out, which is happy and beautiful and let's make shit happen in a great way. So I am careful of who and what I read and talk is who I speak with and all that sort of thing. Like I just need to protect my energy at this point. But I just felt like I was okay to watch that movie. So I watched it, enjoyed it, didn't love it, but I was curious and curiosity overrides a lot of things for me. So if I'm really curious about what this is about. I was fascinated by the image of the evil nun, Valak, I think the character's name is, from the Conjuring series. And so I'm like, what's behind that? That's what it is. If something creepy or scary fascinates me, like I want to know the story behind that, then I will get over that. I will watch or read something just so I'm aware. Because it's interesting. Like again, I used to really be into true crime when I was young, like uh preteen to mid-teens, to the point where I was getting sent home with notes, or notes were being sent home with me, let me put it that way, to my parents going, okay, Lenora's book reports are a little bit disturbing. So I don't think I stopped, but as I got older and into an adulthood, I stopped absorbing a lot of true crime because I realized it was affecting me more than I cared to admit. And so For example, I like watching a lot of World War II documentaries and movies about World War II, but I don't retain that information. And I think it's because that's my brain protecting me from like absorbing that energy because that's not that I don't want to be bombarded with that. I like to in my head is a lot of sunshine and rainbows and sugar. Um, because I can uh yeah, it's just the energy field. I think the older I get, the more aware I am of energy and not to talk about energy. Like I'm not a highly sensitive person. I'm really not. But I did that on purpose. I didn't want to be a highly sensitive person. I wanted a shield. And now I've dropped that shield a bit, or maybe a lot more than I want to admit. So on that note, I'm like, okay, I don't want to bring this in. At the same time, like I said, I don't believe like there's evil forces out to get me ever. Um, at the same time, I can still say, you know what? I don't feel like watching this or talking about it or reading about it until I feel like I'm already in a place of peace where I can read the facts, I can read the story, I can watch it and not bring it onto myself. So I watched The Nun too. And I'm still watching Six Feet Under and what other happy shows am I watching? I don't, oh, you know what? I just started oh no, I finished it. It was easy to binge. It was only like 10 episodes and I think it was half an hour each. Now what's the show called? I forget. I forget. It's new. It's with Kristen Bell. I never watch anything with Kristen Bell in it, but I know who she is. And Adam Brody from the OC. What's it called? Sorry, I'm gonna do this and then I'll be right back. We'll figure this out. Oh, right. It's called Nobody Wants This. It's really, really cute. Oh, well, it was beyond cute. It was actually a surprisingly actually romantic comedy. Like it was romantic and funny, which is really rare. So I saw it, but I wasn't, I mean, I saw that it was available to watch, but I was not necessarily drawn to it initially. And then again, it's one of those things, when you see something, whether it's a book or a TV show or a movie or a podcast episode, or someone tells you to watch this thing and you're like, yeah, 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 I'll watch it, sure. Or nah, not interested. And then out of nowhere, you just are in the mood and there it is. And it becomes the greatest thing you've experienced in a month. That was that show. But it all just kind of lined up because I had no interest in I didn't honestly I didn't know what it was about. Here's the thing though, I've been drawn to things that are about podcasts. So a month ago, so at the time right now it's October. So the beginning of September, like the first day of September, September the 1st, I was up, I was watching Scandal. It was a Sunday morning. It was minding my own business. I had my mind was empty. I'm like, I had spent a month distancing myself to something I'd spent the last 6 years on. And out of nowhere, I was like, start a podcast. Call it the LeNora Faye Show. Well, that came like 3 hours later, the title, but it was like, you're gonna do this. This is just a start. And I had it up in 24 hours. And then a show that has been around for a bit that I had paid no attention to called Only Murders in the Building with Selena Gomez and uh I see that Martin Short and Steve Martin uh on is it on Disney? In Canada, we have different streaming services. We don't have I mean, we don't have Hulu, but shows show up on different streaming services for us here than the US. So, anyway, I had access to that app and I was like, I just felt like watching Only Murders in the Building. I've heard of the show, but I didn't even know it was about a podcast. I knew nothing about it. Really, except for I thought they were investigating murders, which it's true, but it's based around their podcast. So this was the day I started this was 3 days after I started the podcast, my new podcast, that I had this really strong desire to watch that show. So I started watching it and I was like, oh my goodness, this is about a podcast? Okay. So I've watched it. And it was actually, even though my podcast is not a true crime podcast, and I don't listen to true crime podcasts, but just it resonated with me and it was funny and it inspired me to just, do the follow through with my plan with the show. And then watching Why do I keep forgetting the name of that show now? Seriously, I just brought it to you. Nobody wants this. Right, the romantic comedy. Uh, TV show. I just felt like watching it. I think it was last week, and it's about podcast hosts. It's not a, I mean, the podcast plays a part in the show. So, I don't know. Maybe that's a sign that I'm on the right track. I mean, it's talking. Look, the thing I do the best is speak. Not always coherently, but I'm working on it. It's not about being perfect, people. If you're going to do videos, if you're going to do podcasts, it's not about being perfect, but practice being coherent, and it's definitely practice. Because I was saying before to someone else that my first episode of the LeNora Faye Show, and even the first episode of this morning show experiment, while not perfect, is miles better than my very first podcast episode I ever did with my own show that I was co-hosting. So progress is important. The other thing I've noticed is that, okay, so I'm Canadian, we use British English and we pronounce words differently than Americans. And I'm going to, and I do reference American versus Canadian a lot because, again, the bulk of my audience is American. And I'm really embracing my Canadian because I am Canadian, born and raised, still live here. But I can't lie that I do aspire to live in the US, be able to do so, uh, in the way that works for me. So, and also I am very invested in reaching an American audience. So oftentimes and because a lot of my friends now happen to be American. Well, actually, I don't think it wasn't intentional on my part. It's just the people that I'm connecting with the most are American these days. Or these days, the people that I'm connecting with the most are American. They've always been American. Oh my goodness. I see sentence structures, and then when I say them, I'm like, wait, let's move some words around. So, um, a lot of times I'll say something and I go, wait a second, that's not how we pronounce it in Canada. But because I am becoming Americanized in even how well, my writing, I make sure that I write, like I use the Canadian spellings and then I go, right, I'm gonna have to explain that this is not how we spell things here. So progress and progress. I believe progress is the American way of saying it. Progress is what we generally say here. Now, that changes, of course, from where you are in the country, but I'm out west. Fun fact, we say in a northern Alberta, I'm from northern Alberta, we say coyote, not coyote. Oh, when I read it, I see coyote, but then there's the NFL, sorry, NHL team. We don't have NFL here, but we do have NHL here. The Phoenix Coyotes. Anyway, inside joke for the two people or three people that may be watching this will know what I'm talking about. But you may hear me say like pronounce words that seems weird, or I may not say things the same way. It's because I'm going back and forth between Canadian and American pronunciation. But my name is LeNora Faye on either side of the border. You pronounce it the same way. So why did I bring that? Right. The podcast, those shows about podcasts. Yeah, I seem to be drawing that in right now. And again, I think that's a sign. So, but there's something else that I did want to share, just again as some form of hopeful random inspiration. But I've had this like the last week, I've had this really strong feeling of relief as a result of letting things come to a natural end and instead of fighting it, which is something I'm really, really, really good at doing because it's not because like I'm not afraid of change, but usually if I can't see what's next, I'm going, okay, so why is this ending or I can't let it go just in case of the off chance that I'm supposed to keep going with this. Like I have ended a what turned out to be a 6-year run on a project that, I mean, it was multiple things that I was doing. And I spent a year kind of one foot in, one foot out and not happy. Not happy. It's very much like a relationship. Not happy. And since I made a decision to part ways with that, And now I'm in the space of, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did. Like there's such a relief in the freedom of, okay, I can go on to what's next for me. And what's next for me is starting to materialize in the form of the podcast idea. Like there was, it was, if I like to be honest, there was a long period of time where I'm like, I want to do something like that, but my name is tied to other things and I'm committed to other things, but I'm not feeling it anymore. So like there's just this natural separation period and even just this feeling of like, what do we really want to go after? What do we really want to do? Right? And that's never an easy answer. Even when I think it's an easy answer, it never truly is. Um, so I'm even like this morning, I'm going, okay, like there's a lot of I just feel like I just need to acknowledge to myself and to whoever just the feeling of relief of going, okay, like that's come to a close. It served its purpose. I did as much as I could with it, and I am really happy I did decide to let that go. And that feeling, initially the feeling happened of like, okay, good. I made it. Okay, it's making the decision. And then there's sometimes the repercussions of that decision energetically or feeling wise where you're going, okay, I'm glad I did it. I know it's the right thing to do. I still feel uneasy that that's the choice I made, but then right now I won't speak for everybody. I won't even speak for anybody except for myself, but it's just that now I've entered this clearing this last week of, oh yeah, no, I'm really glad that that I left it because new things are starting to materialize now and new things are starting to appear. Like new ideas are coming that resonate with who I am and where I'm at now in my life. And that's just a really, really nice feeling. And then that's also the reminder of, yeah, it's because you let those other things go, that you let them come to a natural end for you. And don't be afraid to do that with other things. So I just wanted to mention that in case you have made a decision recently to change something, end something, and you're not sure, and maybe you're in a bit of a holding pattern of, I feel like this is the right decision, but I still don't feel great about it. It's okay because there will be a moment where you'll hit that clearing and you'll be like, yes, okay, no, I'm good with the decision I made. So just putting that out there too. Um, Hang on, I'm really thirsty right now. So today is lavender. I haven't worn this wig in a while. Well, I haven't worn any of my wigs in a while, so this is actually fun to do. So, okay, so I've been going through again a long period of I don't even want to say recalibrating. There's something about turning 40, which I turned 40 almost 2 years ago. There was something that I recognized about myself that there are times where I don't let myself feel happy while I'm in this kind of limbo phase or limbo state. And again, recently I realized, no, you can be happy. Or like feel happy, I should say. Be happy, feel happy while things are shifting around you. And it's amazing, like I share this whether you can resonate with this or not. I'm sharing it because it definitely comes up at one point or another. Generally after, a certain age. You start to feel safe enough to just look at who you are, who you're becoming, who you want to be, and recognizing that, oh, you know what? I tend to do this. And then that's where you become a little more compassionate about yourself and with yourself. And that's not always easy, but it's a constant work in progress. Progress. See, I'm going American with progress right now. I don't know. I'm on the fence with all this stuff. So, oh, do keep my Canadian pronunciation or what's more natural now? So, right. Um, Part of the relief feeling is just allowing myself to go, oh yeah, I can feel happy. There are many aspects of things that I want that I'm changing, that I'm shifting in my life. And again, it creates a feeling of being in limbo because I don't necessarily see exactly where it's going. I know what it's not going to be, and I know what I have said goodbye to and where things are leading. But there's always that state of like, you know. However, it's really nice just to allow myself just to feel happy, feel okay, feel at ease, even if it's just for an hour, and build on that. And I feel like I've come to this clearing of, okay, I'm okay to do that and let life materialize a little bit more without me forcing it to happen. Because also when you can let when you realize you don't have to force stuff, because maybe what you're forcing is what you really don't want. Now I'm this morning has become a confessional, but that's okay. That's just where I'm at, and it feels nice just to acknowledge that. So be nice to yourself. Be nice to yourself. And I'm not saying that for my benefit. I'm just saying that to you. Like, be nice to yourself right now in your mind as much as possible because that helps. That helps a lot. I'm gonna keep this episode short. You know what? I never pay attention to what time I start, and it's been, I think, around 20 minutes. No, I don't know if this has been 20 minutes, but I seem to come to this natural end. I get there we go. Natural end. It just feels right to end something. Now, no, I'm just gonna leave it. You apply it however you want to apply it. I look back at everything, whether it's relationships, career, all that stuff. There, I realize I can tell the difference from what was a natural end to what was where I was forcing things to keep going or where I was, yeah. I usually force things to keep going longer than necessary. I'll own that. I will own that. And that's okay. It's part of my mission to stop doing that. This episode's coming to a natural conclusion right now. Thank you for watching. I'm having fun on my end. Again, 2-week experiment just to see what happens. So there will be links below on how you can support the show, where you can contact me. Of course, the LeNora Faye Show podcast is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And of course, here on YouTube, if you're watching this here, you can interact with, leave comments. I think you can probably email me. I don't know if my email is linked up to here, but if it is, you can send an email that way. Thank you for watching, and we'll chat tomorrow.